Guys, what's good? It's your boy Phil. Today we are going to be talking about some record of Ragnarok Shuumatsu no Valkyrie. In particular, the last chapter, what happened last chapter, what we learned last chapter about what's going on, how this changes the matchup at all, what could possibly happen from this matchup. I think you guys know by now, I'm team stalemate, I'm team Buddha exercises or like cures the boy Zero or some shit like that. That's what I'm thinking so far. But, you know, we could see some straight up savagery happen in this fight. So I'm excited for that as well. Unfortunately, the chances for Zerofuku in this fight are not looking very well. They're not looking very well at all. Yes, if you're part of the Tower of God stream squad, that didn't happen today because my Wi-Fi was acting like shit. If you want to have a good laugh, go to my Twitch. You could watch the video. It's called, I forgot what I titled it, but it's funny. It's just me and fighting and swearing about fucking Wi-Fi and all that shit. But hey, record of Ragnarok, without further ado, let's do this shit. Which, by the way, before we even go any further, I have to talk about Jesus and Socrates and Confucius because they were some of the new characters that got plopped right into this series. I'll be real with you. I didn't think they were going to add Jesus to the series. I didn't think it was going to happen. It looks like, too, by the way, since he's hanging out with Socrates and Confucius, it looks like Jesus is Team Human, which is kind of interesting. Anyways, besides the point, I really didn't think they were going to add him. It was always an idea that that I had in the back of my mind that, hey, maybe they add Jesus to this manga. And they did, and it's very interesting. I'm very curious what role he'll have in the series in the future. I don't know if he'll be a main character. I don't know. But it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting. That's a little Easter egg character that they threw in there this chapter. Very excited. I'm excited. There's a lot of potential with the addition of Socrates, Confucius, and Jesus to see what goes down after this. I have a feeling they might just be side characters because you know how in every matchup, everybody who fights has their posse, their side character squad with them. You know how Raiden had his sumo wrestlers with him. Shiva, he had all the other Hindu gods with him. You had, you know, everybody. Kojiro had his squad with him. Everybody has their little posse with them in the stands. So it's very likely that this might just be Buddha's little squad, the four sages, all that. So that's something to keep in mind. But if he does become a recurring character, I'll be very happy. I'll be interested for sure to see what could happen with that boy. He didn't even talk. He had no dialogue. Very interesting. We'll see what happens with Jesus. But this video is about the boy Buddha and Zerofuku, which we finally got one of the many combat chapters that I'm expecting in this matchup, and it was pretty hype. It was very hype indeed. The boy Zero with his axe that feeds off misery, which is very interesting, very powerful. First off, executioner of the gods, my boy Zerofuku, the combination of the 7 lucky gods. But we know this already. His axe changing forms, growing. It had a bunch of blades stacked on the end of it. That was pretty cool. Looked very powerful. Unfortunately for him, he kind of has a very shitty matchup. Very shitty. There's possibility that Zero might have been comp for some other people that he might have been fighting. Like if Zerofuku was fighting a human, he might have done some pretty serious damage depending on who he was ending up fighting, which is very curious. I wonder who at the end of the day on the human list was supposed to fight Zerofuku, but we'll never know, unfortunately, or maybe we will know. Maybe that'll be something that gets thrown in later on. But whatever the case, he's fighting the boy Buddha now. And we got some big news from this chapter. My boy, Buddha, Future Sight, has the ability to see briefly in the future, on the spot. A very overpowered ability. We see this ability fly all the time in anime and manga, right? We see this shit all the time. And Buddha, no surprise, also has the ability, and he is using it to its fullest effect. The ability to know what you're gonna do before you even know, before you even do it. It's very broken, and it looks like Buddha has even more cards up his sleeves than just his future sight. He is looking like a very, very strong character in this series, and I think, man, he might be the one. Buddha might be the one to go all the way in this tournament if he gets past this round. Now, obviously, yes, like I've said before, we want to see Buddha fight Loki. We want to see him fight Zeus. We want to see him fight Odin. These are things that we can see happen in the long run, the long term of this series. But for now, he's fighting Zerofuku, and it looks like he's taking the dub for sure. Now, another thing that we saw from the boy Buddha in this chapter, his 6 realm staff has the ability to change forms. Well, damn. So, it has 6 forms, presumably, right? 6 or 7. I'm going with 6, because it's called the 6 realm staff, right? We know of 2 of them, the staff form, and now the shield form. So, right off the bat, I think next chapter, if we do get a combat chapter next chapter, I think we're going to see these forms fly. We're going to see all these forms fly. We're going to have a bow type form. We're going to have a sword probably. We're going to have a pole arm maybe. We're going to have a bunch of different forms that this staff can take. And that's exciting. That's very exciting. I am looking forward to seeing what type of forms this has. Buddha keeps on giving me good stuff, dude. He keeps on giving me good stuff. He's going to either win or he's going to take the draw against Zero. That's what it's coming down to for me, for sure. I don't see Zero winning this fight, and I really don't see him dying either. I'll be real with you. I really think Buddha's going to try and bring Zerofuku back to his old form, or try and split him up back into the 7 lucky gods, something like that. I think that's what's going to happen at the end of the day. I'd be very shocked if Buddha actually kills Zerofuku. I'd be very shocked indeed. But hey, that's still a possibility. At the end of the day, this is Ragnarok. This is a fight to the death. It's in the fucking title, right? So it could go either way. It could go either way, man. It's interesting stuff. It's interesting for sure. I don't know how many more cards Zerofuku has up his sleeve either. I mean, he has his axe. It has multiple heads on it. It's more of a mace at this point, really. I don't know how much more he can do with this. Maybe the axe takes control of Zerofuku, sort of like a Venom symbiote type of thing. Maybe that's something that happens. I don't know. It looks like Zerofuku really doesn't even want to fight anymore, to be honest. He's just so sad and miserable, and his axe is feeding off that he just has no choice but to fight. That's the vibe I'm getting from Zerofuku now. So it's interesting. It's a very interesting fight. You have the boy, the enlightened one, the man who wants to enlighten Zerofuku, I think, at the end of the day, in Buddha, versus Zerofuku, just a raging tyrant of misery, and his axe. So, this is it's a very thematical matchup. I think it's probably the most thematical matchup we've had in the series so far. This is a matchup of ideologies, a matchup of what they stand for. So, it's very interesting. I like this matchup a lot for a lot of reasons. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's God versus God, right? So, it's weird. It's very weird. I'm interested. I am. I really am. It's going to be good. It's going to be good at the end of the day. I think this matchup might have some implications, like, in the future for what happens with Record of Ragnarok. I think if he splits Zerofuku up back into the 7 lucky gods, I don't know what happens, though. I feel like the 7 lucky gods will be pissed off at him for that, right? And they'll try and fuse back in, and maybe we get in this cycle of Zerofuku not wanting to be here, the 7 lucky gods wanting to be Zerofuku, and it just goes back and forth, and some shit happens. It's weird. This is a weird matchup. I'm excited, though. I'm excited to see what happens. But yes, I was Team Zerofuku for a while, I think. I did see the potential in this guy, and he does have potential. Like, Zerofuku's a strong dude. Don't get me wrong. If he was fighting a human, he might take the dub, and he might have trouble fighting this guy. But unfortunately for him, he's fighting Buddha, and it's looking like Buddha is going through the next round. It really is. But guys, that was chapter 46. That's really a lot of the stuff we learned from chapter 46. Like I said, one of the many combat chapters I think we're gonna have. This might be a shorter fight compared to the rest of the fights that we've had. But this, again, is a fight of ideologies. This is a fight that has deeper implications than just, you know, Ragnarok fighting. And I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that. I expect a few more backstory lore chapters, maybe. I don't know if I expect them on Zerofuku. Maybe I expect them on Buddha. Maybe we get a little one. I don't know. But also these 4 sages. I think they have a role to play. I do. I really do. Not just Jesus, but also Socrates and Confucius. Part of me wants them to just be side characters, but I think they're going to have a bigger role. And I hope they do. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in Record of Ragnarok going forward. Guys, that was chapter 46. Let me know down below, what do you think about chapter 46 at the end of the day? I rate this chapter. I think it was pretty good. I think it was a good chapter for sure. We are coming to, I'd say, the middle point of this matchup for sure. It feels like it's just barely started, but things are happening. Things are happening at a quick pace. I wouldn't be surprised if the axe takes control of Zero at some point, and Buddha has to, free him from this axe. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. That'd be pretty interesting. That'd be cool. Saving the boy Zero. I think that's going to be a thing that happens at the end of this fight. I think the theme of this fight is going to be Buddha saving Zerofuku. I think that's something that's going to happen. But hey, that's just me. I've been wrong before. It might happen again. Guys, as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.